Yes.
All right, 7 o'clock, and call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming out. First item on the agenda is the approval of our April meeting minutes. Do you have any discussion on that?
I have none. None. Nope.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We don't have any, plans
Yes, you do.
that need attention.
Yeah.
We do?
Number 7.
Select the asterisks in a different place. That's
Oh, there it
maybe
is.
why you didn't know.
Looking in the margin, that's.
Yeah. I couldn't get it more. Rita was gone, so that's where it went. It's the Augustine Road. We'll get an extension, but you should, in the meantime, you want to make a motion to recommend denial.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I recommend we deny the applicant if they don't give us an extension before the 11th. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. All right, so we have, go with Rock Hill. Anyone care retirement edition?
Good evening.
Even,
Nate Fox from Obermeyer on behalf of Community at Rock Hill. We have a sketch plan in front of you tonight for 2 building additions and some new independent living units at the campus. What we've done, we know we need some zoning relief, but we really wanted to talk through Mr. Ballard's review letter. Other than the zoning variances we'll need, it substantially will comply. But I can walk you through plans. Justin Giannotti, our engineers here, Dan McKee, Ted Leister, and Jim Bowman from Community at Rock Hill are here. This is an aerial of the overall property, State Road out front. You can see the areas of the existing buildings. Can I trouble you to flip to the next page? Thank you. This, I believe, is the prior, an outline of the prior land development approval from back in 2010. What was actually constructed is slightly different. That was due to some necessary operational changes. But there were additions contemplated, and we've reconfigured what is proposed as far as these additions. And can I trouble you to flip to the next page? So what you see here, this is a colorized rendering. There's an addition out the front towards State Road. There's be some additional skilled nursing areas. This area here is an addition for a auditorium area, and in the back we have 2 independent living buildings.
hey Nate, can I stop you saying, can you grab that microphone?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I should have, that's,
No, thank you. Just to review this, out front towards State Road, these are skilled nursing units, so that's a building addition to the nursing area. We have an auditorium addition here and independent living units in the back towards Old East State Road. This is colorized rendering. One of the variances in question is open space. We're required to have 50% open space. We may actually be right about 50%, but if it is a variance required, it'll be, we think it'll be minimal, and it'll really depend on some of the deductions that we're required to take per the ordinance as far as stormwater management facilities are not required. But does anyone have any questions overall before we go through Ms. Ballard's review letter? I wanted to give Dan an opportunity to kind of give an operational summary of why this is something that's necessary for Community at Rock Hill. And I think some of the changes are due to changes in the realities for Community at Rock Hill. Do you want to take a moment?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so just a little bit of background. The parent company, Grace Inspired Ministries, was formed about 9 years ago when Lutheran Community at Telford and the Community at Rock Hill decided to affiliate and have common management. And we have Ted Leister, who's the executive director of the Rock Hill campus, and Jim Bowman, who's our project manager here. The current configuration on the campus is, so both of our communities are continuing care retirement communities, meaning we have residential living apartments, we have personal care, assisted living type services, and we also have skilled nursing. Rock Hill currently has 198 apartments, residential apartments. 53 personal care units, and 85 skilled nursing units. What we've seen kind of from the changing demographics of more seniors in the area is seniors today really want larger apartments. Our Rock Hill campus currently has, of those 198, about 2/3 are 1-bedroom apartments and 1/3 are 2-bedroom apartments. And really what we need is really the opposite. So what we're contemplating with the 2 apartment buildings is larger apartments. They'll all be either 2-bedroom or 2-bedroom and den, and they'll run anywhere from 1,200 square feet to 1,600 square feet. Our wait list for our 2-bedroom units has grown 90% since 2024. So in less than 3 years, we've gone up to 116 on the wait list for that. So we're contemplating 72 apartments. We think the market's there for that, for us to be able to sell those in relatively short order. We just expanded the Telford campus. We added 84 cottages, and we're in the final phase, and those sold faster than we expected. So there is demand for these type of retirement units. Our plan also includes a major renovation to our skilled nursing. So the Rock Hill skilled nursing really is kind of an older medical model. What folks want today is they want private rooms, number one. So we have semi-private rooms, and we actually had triple bedrooms at Rock Hill. So our plan will allow us to have 48 fully private rooms with private baths, and then 12 beds that are semi-private with a shared bath. So that would really be an upgrade for our campus. And then the plan also includes some common additions. We're showing an auditorium and kind of a new entrance. The configuration currently is as our residential buildings kind of make a horseshoe. So our plan is to kind of connect the 2 ends of the building and have an auditorium there as well. So that's kind of the drivers of what we're trying to do with the campus and a little bit of the reasoning behind why we're looking to get this project going. So, sure.
Any questions?
You had mentioned personal care and nursing care, I think.
Yes.
What is personal care?
So personal care is, it's slightly different regulation-wise than assisted living, but it's along the lines of assisted living. So we provide, one of the main things we do is help with medication management. So it's not as intensive clinical care as skilled nursing. It's kind of in between, that residential and skilled nursing. Sure.
The shape of the 2 apartment buildings is interesting. Is there, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So one of the things we wanted to do is, part of what we wanted to do with the shape is what seniors want in an apartment building today is they want multiple exposures. So they want a lot of sunlight within their units. And then the other thing we wanted is like a covered parking on like the ground level. And the elevation of that parcel does really lead to that as well. So that was part of the reason they're configured the way they are. I should mention too, the other thing that we're really happy about is even at the main entrance on State Road, we're able to reconfigure the parking and get more parking on campus, which is needed.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Justin, do you mind joining me?
Sure.
So unless, come on down. Unless anyone has any need to go line by line, I mean, I think really our focus is on page 2, the zoning issues. So we already called out item 4B, the minimum open space ratio. We think we can comply, but that'll be subject to a final calculation. So that, that may be a variance we seek. The next item 4C, one of the zoning ordinance requirements is to have walking trails on site. Justin, do you mind walking through and take the microphone, walking through on the plan where walking trails exist and where they're proposed?
Yeah, so the campus was, and a lot of the detail of the plan has already been discussed, so I'll just stick to the walking trails. But the campus was designed already to provide connectivity through all the buildings. This is the horseshoe building that was already described. This is what they're describing as the link between the 2 ends so that you can actually better configure the entrance. But there are a network of walking trails all throughout the community that really bring you from all roads and all facilities on the site. and in a really cohesive manner. So I think the intent of that ordinance is more or less already met by the current improvements. But to the extent that there's additional links or areas that need trails, we would be happy to comply with that.
And I think as a next step for us, we'd like to get your feedback this evening. We would prepare a zoning hearing board application based on any feedback we get tonight, submit that for Mr. Ballow's review to confirm that we have indeed captured all of the zoning relief required, and then proceed to the zoning hearing board. The next item for discussion is 4E. So the ordinance in the use B9, each of the individual housing or use types are then required to comply with the base requirements of each housing. So for instance, the B2 requirements, which are independent living facilities, they're called back to the B2 multifamily dwelling units. So we may need some zoning relief there. But some of that, it relates to the maximum building length, minimum distance between buildings, and minimum distance between buildings and parking areas. I'm not going to pretend that we knew the intent of the drafters of the zoning ordinance, but when we read those requirements, it looks like that's things that are required or intended if this was a standalone B2 use, meaning a standalone multifamily. Mentioned, the layout of the buildings was interesting. One of the requirements in the zoning ordinance is actually that the building shall not just be in a straight line facing a street. I think that's to give some architectural interest. And as this is part of an existing campus, we are adjacent to East Old State Road. We're compliant in that respect, but there may be, depending on how we can reconfigure the plan, there may be some slight deviations. And Justin, you mind putting some color on that?
I think you did a good job too. So the two buildings in question are these two independent living buildings. The topography of this site really does lend itself to the layout that we have described here. I think the intent of the ordinance is really so that you just don't have long faces of long buildings along a road. And you can see just by the way the buildings are configured and the way that the architecture, which is hard to see on a 2D plan, but there will be like articulations of the building facade as you move along. It's going to appear as if it's a well-designed building, well thought out, and not just a straight line multifamily building, which is somewhat common in the multifamily industry, just for a convenience and max yield perspective. This is not really looking at max yield. It's really meant to work with the land. And given that it's an active adult, aging community designed for, they want to make sure that they're all in one building, because that helps with connectivity in itself too.
Steve, you have any input on that? The interpretation?
You're talking about 4E?
Yeah, 4E. Yep, and referencing section 450, 1604 B2 of the ordinance in each sub-requirement.
Yeah, I don't remember them exactly.
No, what do you mean?
If we're talking about separations, building separations, parking separations, that is, other than aesthetics, it is in part a concern that the fire company is happy, that they have adequate access around the buildings between parking. Sometimes they like to go over cars, or they don't mind going over cars to get to the building. Other times they want separation between the parking and the building to get in between the cars and the building. So some of those things I think are, a question to get response or feedback from the fire company in particular, more so than them just being a number in the zoning ordinance. But talking about the fire company, I don't know if you skipped over 4A, that emergency access lane, that's the other big fire company issue that has to be looked into.
And Steve, that's in particular around the independent living units on the one side, not having the 360-degree circulation around those units. Is that because obviously the balance of the site still does,
Right.
if we're
I guess it's the waterfall building. The building, parallel to the creek.
correct.
That walkway in the back was designed. That walkway was designed as emergency access. For
Yes.
Stabilized shoulders basically on the walkway.
Correct.
That came out to the cul-de-sac, so that the auditorium building cuts off that through emergency access. Again, that was something the fire department wanted when that building was constructed. We maintained it with some of the other renovations. We're going to need to talk to the fire company to see if,
And that's
you
some,
know, if they still need that, or if there's some other way to get them turned around or through there.
So Ted Leister, Community Rock Hill. We did talk with the fire marshal early on before we even talked about that. And his thought process was, this is too tight, the way it's designed to get the truck in. He would come in this way anyway. So as long as he had room to come up here this way and turn and go back is what he would want. But obviously we'd have to design that.
and Steve, as you know, as we move through land development too, we'll make sure that they're involved in fire marshal review through the whole process. I mean, we're just looking for feedback, but that's a great point.
We can request further feedback on the independent living units prior to going to the zoning hearing board, because I imagine that'll be a concern of theirs as well.
Right, I think, and in this case, it's such an involved plan. You know, sometimes we just send the plan to the fire company and don't give them any background and ask for their input, and they don't realize what some of the important issues are. So whether it's a meeting with them or with all of us, or giving them a detailed outline of these are the concerns between the township and the home of, you know, what we want feedback on.
Yeah, and thank you. And that's part of why we're here this evening, trying to get feedback and commentary, make sure we get everything addressed before we go seek zoning relief, so we don't have to go back to the beginning again.
Is the concern on 4C, is it the width, the 8 foot wide for the walking trails? That you had brought that up as a,
No, that's just, the ordinance calls out 8 foot width.
that's what I'm saying. Is that what your concern is, the 8 foot wide?
No, it's whether you want additional, whether the township wants additional walking paths. They have a network through the community now.
Yeah, and you know, given that this is an overall campus, you know, if this was a standalone independent living facility only of independent living units, you know, maybe you'd want a different mix of recreational amenities or trails. There are trails and sidewalks and connectivity, and there are recreational and activity options interior to the campus. So, you know, I don't think we're looking to put a pocket park or a tot lot. And, you know, but it's just a different, that use is, the B2 use is a multifamily. So I think some of those requirements, and this is for the B9 use. So I think it's just making sure we cover what the township's preferences are. And, you know, if these are sufficient, or if we have to ask for some form of relief, be it a zoning variance or anything during the land development process.
I mean, just speaking on my own, as long as, you know, as far as the trail system, as long as you have interconnectivity between the new facilities and the existing trail system, you know, I don't know that you need to have it looped around the new buildings necessarily, as long as there's connectivity.
And the other item, the ordinance does provide, you know, we're not anticipating dedicating recreation land, so the township would get a fee in lieu of this is item number 8 on the next page. So per your fee schedule, there's a fee in lieu. And I think this type of use, unlike say a typical single family or townhouse subdivision, these residents aren't going to use the township park and recreation facilities at the same level as expected of other types of communities. I think this is largely self-contained. So I think that requirement we're just talking about is just making sure the township's satisfied that we have adequate trails and recreation facilities on site for the residents.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know if you can say this or not, what is the average age of the residents in the community?
So the average age for the folks moving into our residential living building is mid-80s. It's a little bit higher in the healthcare portion if they're coming directly into the healthcare portion.
To kind of be blunt and a little bit cold about it, people in their 80s aren't necessarily going to be using recreational facilities at the same level as somebody in their mid 40s or 50s or 20s. It's a community more oriented toward people in the upper years of their lives. And those people tend to have a little bit less mobility than younger people do. And I'm a little bit familiar with your facility, and you do have indoor recreational facilities and
Correct.
care facilities for people suited for that age range.
Yeah. Yeah, but our residents do enjoy our outdoor spaces. They really love the courtyard in the middle of all the buildings, and we have a covered bridge, and they're very proud of their outdoor spaces there.
Is there any facilities for like visiting grandchildren or anything like that?
There's nothing like park-like type amenities, but they do enjoy the outdoor spaces when visiting.
I'm not missing something in our own ordinance. The zoning requirement is just for the trail system. Any other recreation amenities would be a subdivision ordinance requirement.
Which would be,
So your potential zoning variance really only revolves around the trail. And if the board is happy with the network, then I don't think there's any variance from that standpoint.
Yeah.
It might be for open space, but not recreation.
Yeah.
There might be a waiver for recreation facilities.
which that'll come during
Under
land
the
development.
subdivision ordinance.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, everything else is a will comply or a land development item. But, we want to make sure we took an opportunity with any feedback, questions, concerns. We will certainly talk with fire company, and Steve, happy to coordinate with you to make sure we're covering our bases there. But any thoughts, questions, concerns?
Did you pick up the property across Old State Road, like across from the Souter property?
No.
It's, what is it, Light Path?
Only. It's either light path or similar to like a light path, but that's not.
That's not, you,
No, only what's on the screen in colors there, the property. It's like 41 acres approximately.
right? So what are you after this evening? You're,
So really, as it's a sketch plan, there's no formal recommendation. It's just an opportunity to review and comment. So we wanted to do this before we submitted the zoning hearing board application. So I think that our direction from here is to meet and confer with the fire company, make sure they're satisfied. But I didn't hear any real concerns or direction from the planning commission members.
I really don't have any concerns, Steve. Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, that's what I was just looking through the letter. I think the only other, I shouldn't say only other, but one of the other main items that we'll be looking for when we get to land development is a traffic study, or at least some version of a traffic study to identify, the changes in the traffic flows in and out of the facility. And since there always was an access on East Old State Road, but there will probably be a lot more traffic on Old East State Road with
Correct.
the new buildings.
No,
That'll be the main entrance really to those buildings.
correct.
Do you anticipate more traffic coming in off of State Road?
We're going to do a traffic study. There
Right.
could be. You'll notice that there's actually a reduction in some beds that we're proposing as part of this because we're going from the double occupancy to single occupancy. So even though you're seeing a square footage increase,
Right.
not necessarily a translation to trip generation increase, but there will be some trip generation increased on this site, depending on which driveway it will be part of our analysis. And I want to make one point too, so as we're still working through some of the architecture, up here is where we're showing the nursing addition in the front of the building. That configuration and location of that is subject to change still as we're working through architecture. As you can imagine, it's an intricate building. The location of where you put the addition does vary. There's some complications there. So we're still working with the architecture. That building may shift and maybe alongside the building. It's going to be in the general area attached to the existing nursing building, but we just want to just be upfront with the fact that that location is still in a little bit of flux at this point. But square footage wise and everything else should be approximately the same.
You didn't show, at least at this level, any new stormwater facilities. Are you hoping to piggyback on what's out there?
So we are doing a full analysis. We have the old stormwater design, but as part of this with the new impervious, there's going to be more stormwater management that's being proposed. So as part of this project, we'll be complying with all stormwater requirements for the additional impervious. And you'll see there's some areas of the parking lot that we're actually reconfiguring for efficiency to pick up some more spaces as this campus grows. But rate control, volume reduction, and water quality are your 3 requirements that will be satisfied as part of this project as well.
And as you're aware from other projects, it doesn't perk up here.
No,
You don't
yeah.
have to be creative
West Rock Hill.
We-
with your volume.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you call it? Rock Hill, yeah.
Are you anticipating more than an acre of disturbance?
Yes. Yes. So to that regard, we'll be seeking our MPDS permit with the state.
How many stories are in the existing buildings?
So 3 total on, yeah, Waterfall's 5,
Okay.
and the majority of them, most of them are 3, right?
You walk through your. Yep, I can walk through.
Inside and out.
The waterfall building's here.
Mhm.
This is 5 stories on this side, 4 stories on this side. This is canopy. This is 3 stories. This is Aldifer. This is 1 story. The nursing is on the upper floor of this, and the floor below is personal care. And then this building here, it's a smaller personal care area, that's 3 stories.
And the new apartments are 4?
I think there's 3, and then the parking half underground.
I see.
So it's 3 exposed.
Thank you.
Yep.
You guys have any other questions or input?
Nope.
Think you got what you need tonight?
All right. Yes. Thank you very much for
hearing
from us.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Have a good,
Good night.
have a good evening. You're right. Yep.
Nate.
All right, so 1,000 Bethlehem Pike.
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Baginski. I'm with Robert E. Blue Engineers, the civil engineer for the project. With me tonight is Jacob Fagan, who's also with Robert E. Blue Engineers, and AJ Singh, who's with Simran Properties. They are the applicant and equitable owner for this project. If you could
Did you say
please-
owner or?
equitable owner.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't own the property yet. So before you tonight is an application for sketch plan for a gasoline service station with 5 MPDs and a 4,000 square foot convenience store associated with it. If you could skip forward, I'm not sure what order these are in, but somewhere a little bit farther back, there's some plans. Perfect. Yep. Thank you. So this is the most recent plan that was submitted to the township in response to Steve Bella's review letter. So as I described, it's got the gasoline fueling station with fuel canopy and the convenience store. It abuts Bethlehem Pike to the east, Ridge Road to the south. To the north of our property is a commercial property. It's an HVAC company. To the west are some residential properties. South is also commercial. I think it's Comcast and the municipal authority building. And then to the east is also commercial property. It's a car dealership. So along the west-hand side where we abut residential, in the existing conditions, there is a pretty well-established tree line. We're holding that 15-foot building setback on the west side. So we would be maintaining that existing tree line. And we're definitely open to supplementing with some evergreens or some other plantings back there as may be needed. Otherwise, as far as the bulk requirements, we're meeting all the setback criteria. We are a little bit short on lot area and lot width in some regards. And part of this is something that we need interpretation for. We submitted initially under the interpretation that this was an E8 vehicle fueling station use, which permits up to a 1,000 square foot convenience store. As part of Steve's review, he brought up that there may also be the E9 convenience store use, so it may actually be dual use, E8 and E9. And that's something that we're looking for feedback and interpretation on, because from our standpoint, we feel that this is more so the E8 use, which is primarily the vehicle service station. And then the convenience store would be more so accessory or accompanying to the service station, as opposed to the E9, which is written as the convenience store being the primary use of the property, which I think in Steve's letter, he actually even mentions Wawa as part of that E9 use. And just to be clear, we are not Wawa.
That's my.
Our convenience store is much less intensive. We're not going to have the same level of prepared foods and things of that nature. And I could let AJ speak more to that, but we're more traditionally what you think of with a gasoline station convenience store, mostly packaged foods and other merchandise such as that. And we're not a smoke shop or anything like that either, although there may be some tobacco sales as you'd expect for a convenience store.
Are the E8 parking requirements drastically different than the E9?
They are, yep. And
Yeah, because they deal with the repair shop more than us.
yep, and that's one of our questions too. And part of the reason why we're kind of pushing for the E8 interpretation. Under the E9, we would be required to have 40 parking spaces, which we feel is excessive. Currently on the plan, we're showing 12 parking spaces, which is consistent with what's required under the E8 use. And I can go through the different variances and waivers that we've identified in more detail.
Well, let's just talk about that for a minute. I'm not the zoning officer. You could certainly, what I would suggest to get this cleared up is submit a zoning application
Mhm.
and ask for an interpretation of the use, and you'll get a formal answer. But I can almost tell you what the formal answer is, because the ordinance was written to have, when you have a convenience store and a gas station, you're an E9 use, and E9 brings into the gas facilities, it references back to E8. And I think that's the answer you're going to get. But if you want the formal answer, I would do it that way.
Sure. Yeah. Understood. And we're okay either way. It changes some of the variances that we need to request and the extent of variance, because I think some of the key differences are like the E9 use requires 2 acres of minimum lot area as opposed to 1 acre under the E8. We're actually just shy of 1 acre after accounting for the ultimate right of way. So in either case, we would need a variance for the lot area. But as you can see on the plan, we can reasonably fit what we feel is necessary to support the gas station and the intended use of the property as it stands.
So you're not even for the E8, you're not even at the minimum lot size for that.
We're just shy. It's actually that the deeded property is over 1 acre, but accounting for the ultimate right of way, which is a 50-foot half width on our side from both Ridge Road and Ridge Road and Bethlehem Pike, that cuts into our property pretty significantly. So because of that, we're down to about 0.92 acres of lot area.
What is the lane on the west side of that property?
Just to the west of our property it's a long driveway that leads back to the residential dwelling.
Other residents?
Yep, it sits pretty far back. Yeah. I think if you flip to the next slide, we do, sorry, one more. We do have an aerial background. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but it's a long driveway that leads back to a residence. I think it's 109 Ridge Road. And then I think there's 2, maybe 3 other residences that front Ridge Road as you keep going farther west. But that driveway is well lined. Like I said, there's an established tree line on our side of the driveway and on the west side of that driveway, which is excellent buffering for us that is already existing and would be remaining as part of this development.
And does the setbacks meet the requirements?
So we do meet the rear setback on that side. It's 15 feet. But there's a 25-foot buffering requirement between commercial and residential. So we would be encroaching into that by 10 feet as it stands. But I do want to point out that our building and our parking and everything, they're not any closer to that property line than the existing development, right? Because it's not a vacant property today. There's an existing building with pretty vast amount of pavement on it as it stands, and we're not encroaching any farther than that.
Does that fall under zoning or under salvage? The setback?
They meet the setback. It's the buffer that they will need a zoning variance for.
That's
The buffer widths are in the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
The tree planting you have leeway on the actual plant.
So you'd need relief for that.
We would, yeah, from the buffering. Yep. And like I said, there is that tree line. We would be willing to plant evergreens or something else along there too to help increase that screening. I think there was talk during the staff meeting we had of providing a fence, some sort of visual barrier, whether it's vegetation, a fence, or combination to help offset how close we are.
Well, you'd have to argue that one with the zoning hearing board, not with us.
Of course. Yep. And I guess, since we're diving into it, we do have the list of variances that we've identified. So that the first one we talked about was that the lot area, that's the 1 acre versus, sounds like we're headed towards E9, which is a 2 acre requirement. We're at 0.92 acres after accounting for the ultimate right of way.
Where you at now?
I'm sorry, I'm going through the list of variances.
9.2? Your acreage?
Oh, the acres, 0.92, yes.
You net out at?
I'm sorry?
You net out at 0.92?
Yes, after accounting for the ultimate right of way. Yep. For lot width, the requirement there is 300 feet under the E9 requirement. We have a lot width of 160 feet, give or take, along Ridge Road and 250 feet along Bethlehem Pike. So we would need a variance for both of those lot widths on both road frontages. We would need a variance for the motor vehicle fueling station to be within 1,000 feet of any public or private drinking water well. We don't currently have those mapped. We would need to do more research as we head towards zoning to figure out exactly where those are. But just given some of the surrounding properties, we expect that there are some private wells for the residences in the area. But we'll have to determine those exact locations and whether or not they're 1,000 feet. But
There was, and I forget if I brought it up in here, but there is some water and sewer in the
Mhm.
vicinity. But I'm not sure what all properties got connected to it at this point.
right, yep. Yeah, we'll have to narrow that down before zoning, but that is a variance that we're expecting to request. We also need a variance for impervious coverage. The requirement is 60% maximum impervious coverage. With this plan that's on the screen right now, we're at about 64.79%. And we can get into this after the list of variances, but there's an alternate sketch that was submitted as well, showing oversized vehicles. I believe that was about 68% impervious coverage. So we are over that requirement slightly. And again, a lot of this stems from the reduced lot width and the amount of ultimate right of way that's really taking away our property. The fifth variance on the list is for the 15-foot buffer in lieu of the 25 feet required. That's just on the western side that abuts residential. We would need a variance to permit the outdoor collection for essentially the trash enclosure, which would be on the side of the structure. I believe the wording of the ordinance is that the trash enclosure is supposed to be in the rear. As we're a corner lot, it's kind of hard to tuck it into the rear of the building since no matter which side we put it on, it's visible from the street. We're requesting a variance to allow red and green illuminated gas price signage within 300 feet of a traffic signal. Signage hasn't been determined yet, but we're trying to cover our bases. Just a little bit of background on Cimarron Properties. They basically market the gas station and would look for someone like a Sunoco or a similar type of gas provider to use this space. So, they're not the brand, but they would bring a brand in to run the gas station. So not knowing exactly what they're looking for as far as signage package, we're trying to cover our bases and make sure that typically they look for different colors for the gas prices. So that's where the red and green signage comes into play. Similarly, for the variance to allow a building sign and a secondary canopy sign, again, those are typical signs to identify the gas station from both road frontages, making sure that's visible. And then there is one other one that was identified here. It's not on the list, but with the alternate sketch plan, if we had add in the oversized vehicle spaces, we would need a variance from the 10-foot landscape buffer along the road frontage. I believe it's part of the use regulations under E8. Those oversized vehicle spaces again, because of how much the right of way encroaches on the property, we would be almost right up to the right of way line on the Bethlehem Pike side. So because of that, we wouldn't be able to provide the 10-foot buffer where those oversized vehicle spaces are.
So if PennDOT someday decides to exercise their option for that right of way to widen either Bethlehem Pike or Ridge Road, what does that do to your turning radiuses coming in and out of your facility?
Well, and that's a really good point. Something that we're toying with is, do we go for a traffic study before we go to zoning and actually look at what future widening could look like? Because right now along Bethlehem Pike, there is a center through lane, so through and right turn lane, and then there is a designated left turn lane as you're heading southbound on Bethlehem Pike. So if they were to add a right turn lane along our frontage for access to our site and a right turn from Bethlehem Pike southbound onto Ridge Road westbound, that's not going to take up 50 feet of space on our side of the property.
Right.
So that's something that we're considering is actually requesting a variance from the ultimate right-of-way criteria to reduce it down based on a traffic study to just limit the right-of-way to be dedicated to just what's required for widening. And that would actually alleviate certain variances from what we have on the plan right now.
That might also apply to Ridge Road too. That intersection probably could use a left-hand turn lane going north on Bethlehem Pike someday.
It would,
That
yep,
would affect your Ridge Road entrance as well, potentially.
it would. Yeah, and we did get a scoping letter back from PennDOT that came in, I think, 2 weeks ago. They were okay with the full movement access for Bethlehem Pike. For Ridge Road, they were going to restrict our egress to be right out only. So no left out onto Ridge Road, but you could still make the right in or the left in.
So left in off of Ridge Road. What about Bethlehem Pike? Left in, right in and out on Bethlehem Pike, which you're proposing?
Correct. Yep. Bethlehem Pike would be a full movement driveway.
That'd be a mess.
Yeah. I mean, it's the striping and stuff would be altered from what you see today. That would be subject to review by PennDOT, and a traffic engineer would have to prepare plans for the highway occupancy permit. So that would come later on during land development. But it would be structured in a way that would be safe and approved by PennDOT.
We've got left in off of.
Oh,
Ridge
yeah,
Road.
yeah.
Because you've already backed up at the intersection. You're going to be
Right.
backed up twice.
Yep. And left out, left out, I can't see that at all. I mean, that would make that worse than Wawa up at Tollgate.
That's a mess. That's what you're saying, that it would be restricted to right out only onto Ridge Road.
I would say both spots. I mean, either way, it's gonna be a mess.
Steve, does PennDOT have any say in the ultimate right of way there? Or is that strictly township?
No, that's township. They have their legal. That's all. I'm not sure what their you know what their legal is right now?
I'm not sure. Yeah. And frankly, this is preliminary right now. We haven't even done a full survey of the property. So assuming that we get positive feedback from the planning commission this evening, we would plan to do a survey, refine the sketch plan, possibly engage a traffic engineer to do that study, and then take that refined plan and apply for the zoning variances that are necessary at that time. But to speak on the right of way, the ultimate right of way is a township criteria. Typically what happens is that if there is widening, PennDOT would only take the absolute minimum of what's necessary for the widening. Then the rest of that area would be offered for dedication to the township, a lot of times placed into an easement or something similar for future dedication, but it's not actually conveyed until the time that it's needed.
West Rockville always conveys it as an easement with the development.
As an easement, right?
And no sidewalks or anything?
None currently. That'll be looked at as part of the HOP process that did come up in PennDOT's letter as well.
Well, I think you'll want to consider that it's the new PC, 2 zone, and you've looked at, do you start sidewalks now to hope to extend them with subsequent developments?
Mm-hmm. I would think so.
I would as well.
At least to the north.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like an awful lot of stuff to go in an awful small lot.
Yeah. Seems like an awful lot of
relief you're gonna need as well.
variances, I mean, you're below the minimum lot size for either use. You're woefully short on parking spaces if it's E9. Yeah, I
Buffer yard, yeah, everything.
mean, everything. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I would not be in favor of granting all these waivers. It's just, I don't think the lot size is conducive to, what it is you want to do.
I'm talking
I'm just,
zoning.
I mean,
relief or-
everything.
or
I mean,
waivers?
just, why should we grant all these waivers for, I mean, it just doesn't fit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's not the relief is.
and that's not to mention the traffic and everything else. I mean, that's just a bad setup. I mean, we have, Wawa out there, Tollgate Road is a mess. And that's a Wawa. And this is, I mean, I don't, looks like a nightmare to me. Just my thought though.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate your input. I mean, and just again, to make it clear, this is going to be much less intensive than a Wawa. We're not going to bring in that kind of traffic. It's going to be primarily pass-by traffic, cars that are already going down Ridge Road or Bethlehem Pike that are going to turn in, stop for gas, and then continue on their way.
Is the speed limit 50 on Bethlehem Pike there? I know when you're going up the hill, I think
Yes.
it goes to.
Yeah, it turns to 55 going up.
55 going up.
55 through there. I mean, it is at an intersection, so,
Yeah.
most of the traffic is slowing down, but the posted speed limit is 55.
Where are your fuel tanks?
Currently, they're between the Canopy and Bethlehem Pike.
So that if there's a truck in there filling your tanks, that essentially blocks out most of your pumps from use, correct?
Not necessarily. The driveway is oversized, so that there should be space. But we would do truck turns as part of the land development, but there would be space for the fuel tanker truck to pull up where the underground tanks are and still allow for cars to circulate. I mean, it would be a little bit tight, but there would be space to maneuver. But that spacing is actually pretty typical for what you see for something like a Wawa.
The tractor trailer could make that swing into that between the pumps and the right of way. So if you're coming in off of Bethlehem Pike with tractor trailer, fueling truck to fill your tanks, they're gonna make that swing between the pumps and the buffer toward Bethlehem Pike. That's calculated out that would work.
We haven't run truck turn analysis yet, but I mean, I've seen really tight sites before, and they find a way to get in there. I mean, if that means restricting fueling, the refueling with the tanker truck to off hours or something like that,
Right.
I think they would be open to whatever works to make this happen.
That's right. You said you're not a 24-hour operation.
Correct. Yeah, and the ordinance actually limits the hours of operation, and we would comply with that.
I think I'd definitely recommend getting a traffic study done before going to zoning.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, we really don't have much input on what the zoning hearing board is gonna say. I personally, I don't try to lend opinion to that. Variances are a different subject if you want to talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. You mean the waivers?
I'm sorry, waivers.
Sure. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. So, and these are somewhat preliminary. With number one, I believe there is precedent for this waiver being granted, given that we're a corner lot. Essentially, the section saying that you're supposed to take access from the street of lesser hierarchy, whichever one is the lesser street. Since they're both state routes, they're equivalent, and we would like access from both streets. The wording, I think, is a little bit vague or not super clear of this section, but from what we've heard back from the township, I think we do need a waiver from that section to have our access on both Bethlehem Pike and Ridge Road. We were looking to defer sidewalk construction, but I think we're open to providing that if the board feels strongly that sidewalk should be provided at this time. We just listed that as a waiver for now because there is no existing sidewalk in that vicinity, so it wouldn't be connecting anywhere. But I understood that it's a relatively new district, and this would be setting the precedent in that area. We had a waiver in here to allow parking spaces to be 9 by 18 instead of the 9.5 by 19 required by the code, but I think that's something that we would look to adjust for land development and comply with that 9.5 by 19. So that waiver honestly would probably get taken off of the list. We would be interested if the board had an opinion about going for combined preliminary / final land development concurrently.
We've always looked at it, how good your plan is.
Sure.
Oftentimes, it might take an extra submission to
Mhm.
get to a preliminary final, but it's been done regularly.
Sure.
It's not necessarily a significant waiver.
Number 5 is a common one, again, to allow an aerial plan to depict existing features within 100 feet of the property. Like I said, we still need to do an actual field survey, so we'll get field survey of the property and also within the roadway areas for the extent that it's needed for PennDOT. A lot of times we have to go about 300 feet beyond the property lines along the road just to appease what PennDOT looks for. But as far as the property itself, we wouldn't plan to go onto the neighbor's property for survey, so we would show an aerial image. And then the last two are stormwater related, just kind of thinking ahead to the actual stormwater design and what that would look like. We would plan to use HDPE pipes instead of RCP, and to allow pipes smaller than 18-inch diameter for things like roof drains. And if we do some sort of subsurface bed, there might be a need to use a smaller pipe for an under drain or something like that.
And that's common as well, as long as it's on your property, correct?
Yeah, on private systems, you've allowed those waivers, and for we'll call it subsystems for the small collection pipes, same thing. We've done smaller pipes for that. Actually, I think there might be a section in the stormwater ordinance that'll house that, kind of buried in there, but
Gotcha.
there's a weird allowance for smaller piping.
So you're thinking subsurface for stormwater?
With the limited site area that we have on the plan right now, I think that's our only option. The topography actually slopes from the north of the property down towards the intersection. So that doesn't really leave us any options to capture runoff in a surface basin down at the low side of the property. So we would look to do subsurface somewhere along the Ridge Road side, possibly extending in front of the store as a subsurface bed.
Where's the entrance to the store? Right in the front, right in the middle there? Like,
It'll either be in the middle or up towards the parking end. It might be offset towards that end where the parking is. And then there would probably be some sort of employee or access door on the south side of the building for access to the trash enclosure and loading.
yeah, the parking seems cramped. I think it's relative to the size of the overall lot too. If it was in the middle there, you'd see people pull up right in front,
Mhm.
right up parallel to the curb and
Right.
run in and run out, as opposed to, going to the top part of the lot there.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Parking in front of the store would be discouraged here. We would probably put up signs to say no parking in that area or stripe it as a fire lane or something along those lines.
That limited parking, you're gonna have an issue with people leaving their cars at the fueling and going into the store.
Potentially. AJ, do you want to speak more about the clientele and what you expect as far as traffic?
Sorry. So people come in and they just get gas and leave pretty much. And we are branded gas. We're not going to be XYZ gas or whatnot. And most of the time, like you said, your question was like people park and come in and leave. What we did before was most likely when they park, they'll come in and get pack of cigarettes, basically. Pack of cigarettes and walk out and leave. So pretty much max transaction is maybe like a minute or two, which does not like conflict with parking pretty much. Like if you go to a gas station and you need a pack of cigarettes, if you're pumping, it's gonna take about average, what is it, 6 gallons to 8 gallons per minute. So if your tank holds 16 gallons, you're gonna take 2 minutes. That doesn't mean like your tank is always empty. You can go inside, get a pack of cigarettes. By the time you come back, your tank is full and you're ready to leave.
Are you allowed to leave your car while it's fueling?
It has auto shutoffs. You're not allowed to, but people sit in a car or they do that. Yes,
Right.
but it has a lot.
I can't go with the criteria that they have 2 minutes to run in to get.
No,
pack of
I'm not.
cigarettes while it's fueling.
It has auto shutoffs, double auto
Understand,
shutoffs.
but
Yeah.
Isn't it state law that you have to stay with your vehicle while it's fueling?
I can't stop everybody
Yeah,
from doing what they're
you're
doing.
Enforcing the state law.
I know, but
You can't design for
you can't design for,
not following the law.
It's like if the speed limit is 50 and somebody's going in 70, I can't control them.
well, they're not coming to your store at 57. What I'm saying is if you're gonna anticipate people leaving their cars fuel up illegally to run in and get cigarettes, to argue the traffic congestion issue that could possibly come up by people running in while their cars are fueling up, or leaving their cars after they fill up to run in and get their, whatever they're buying, their pack of cigarettes, whatever. I don't like the, I can't say the argument, but the theory behind why it's not a big deal for someone to leave their car at the fueling station to go into your store.
I understand what you're saying. I think the point that AJ was trying to make is that it's not like a Wawa where people are in there for 5 to 10 minutes ordering some kind of custom sandwich and they're going to be leaving their car at the pump for like 10 minutes. It's
Right.
quick transactions where they might fuel, it'll take a couple minutes, they'll go inside, make a quick transaction, and then they'll be on their way. So I think that's kind of the main point, is that there's not going to be cars parked at the canopy for extended time.
Correct.
Or even after they finished fueling,
Yeah.
somebody follows the state law and they're finished, they pay at the pump, then they, rather than pulling into another parking space, they just leave their car there.
Oh, I know. And if you have limited parking, you're promoting that.
Yes, that's true.
Well, I have other sites as well, and we never walk into a situation where parking has been an issue. Like you said, we're not busy like Wawa. It's not gonna be like cars over cars coming in.
Right.
Usually one employee is working, and if we have like 2 or 3 customers, we still have plenty of parking based on what's going on. So, and even in the busy times, like there's like 4 or 5 cars or 6 cars max, right? Like sitting in at the pump getting gas. That's why we were proposing 5 MPDs, which is giving you 10 cars to park, not park, but like to fill up.
Probably a stupid question, but are you considering electric vehicle charging stations here?
As of right now, no. They're very expensive.
Could I ask, the 4,000 square foot store, obviously that's what you want, that's what you're applying for, but do you need that size, or could you reduce that size to get you more flexibility of room and maybe less variances on the site?
See, it's basically a new era of gas stations as well. You're not looking at a typical going to a gas station and with the automobile, like changing your oil or whatnot. Everybody wants to go and feel like they're welcome to the place. If it's a rundown place, really small and cramped up, you don't want to go there. Simple as that. And if it's a nice looking place and a little bit open area, and it just helps customer feel like it's welcome. They're okay to come there.
The mental image I get is like, for a while, 7-Elevens tried also selling gas at their facilities. So they still had like their stores are much smaller than Wawa stores. And it seems like it was a similar concept of just like packaged food. You're in and out in a couple of minutes. And they had gas pumps there as well. I don't know whether that's an accurate depiction of what you're envisioning, but that was what came to my mind when I looked at your plan.
Majority of the people that come in, like for example, for your question that you were saying, leaving the car, they already come in and tell us how much gas they want. And most of the time, when like, for example, pack of cigarettes, they'll tell you, let me have Marlboro Lights and $20 on pump number 5. And that's what I was trying to tell you. Like it doesn't take that long. They just then they go back, get gas and drive away. And I mean, nobody wants to nowadays, like if you really think about it, with the competition like Wawa, Royal Farms, and like small guys like us, and if I have a place that's a rundown place, nobody's going to walk into it and drive in it. It doesn't matter what the place is, it has to look nice and welcoming.
Well, do you need 4,000 square feet to make it nice and welcoming?
Sir, the thing is, we keep running out of space for the coolers. If you really think about it, amount of like product that's coming out every day, and it's not like we're gonna be using for entire space for our like customer base. But cooler need, if the cooler is big, we need stock in the cooler as well. We cannot keep it outside because it will be warm. So that's why we need a bigger cooler. So it's not like we're using the entire store for foot traffic.
Right.
It's also for storage as well. Yeah.
So is this like your minimum that you would do is 4,000 square feet?
I would do whatever the township is welcoming us with.
You own other,
Yes,
so what's your biggest one?
3,700 square feet.
Okay.
And we are running out of cooler space. That's the problem. Yeah.
When we get to land development, if we get there, I think floor plan might help us
Yeah.
understand things.
Do you
got the
have
foot-
customer restrooms in your?
Yes, of course.
So
We are planning on doing one for the females and one for the males, like multiple. So it's like, it's easier for like, just in case, because other sites we have one and certain sites we have two. And people make a mess, to be honest. Like, so one goes down, then at least we have another one for our customers to use it.
Are they indoor?
Yes.
Have to carry a key around the building?
You're dating yourself.
They are bad. They're really bad.
Enough said on that topic. You guys have any other questions or input? Steve, you have anything else?
No, I think they covered the main things. So of course, and with land development, there'll be a lot of other minor details, but as we discussed, there's a lot of zoning questions. And ultimately, the road improvement in part will depend on the traffic study and PennDOT's input, as well as the township's input.
One more thing, we're not gonna do like for the building, we're not gonna be like flashy or anything. We just want to make sure that when somebody comes in, it looks like it belongs to the township. Like not belong, but like it's part of it.
Can you provide photos of your other facilities?
Of course, sure. One is under construction right now. I can actually send you renderings for those. The other one, I can send you the pictures, yes.
Well, if you have nothing else, we have nothing else. My opinion, you're gonna have some challenges. I don't particularly have any problems with the saldo waivers. But I think you're gonna get some pushback on the relief you're gonna need.
You might have seen my one of the sites in Quakertown. It's right in front of Wawa. So on Route 663. Correct.
You're across.
The street from Wawa, yes. The beige Sunoco, pretty much, yes.
What's the size of that lot?
1.25, I believe, 1.27. And that place, I don't know if you guys seen it before we took over. It was pretty bad. So we had to do the entire thing pretty much like.
No, I commend you on what you did there. I haven't been in there because
Yeah, correct. Like I said, like you're proving my point right now. Like a lot of people will go to Wawa and not too many people will come over. Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're fine.
I fueled up there because, wow, it was so bad. But it looks like you did a nice job.
Yeah, that's a nice facility. What size is the building there?
Building is about 3,700 square feet. Yes.
Square foot isn't what it used to be.
That's a big building
Yeah.
in that corner out here. Probably shouldn't have told me that. And now I can visualize what that would look like on this.
I mean, we can go a little smaller. That's fine. It's just like more like we need storage. How many candies are we gonna have?
Right.
If you really look at it, like like nowadays, everybody's worried about their health, less sugar, sugar-free, you know. So we can only have so many candies and snacks. So it's all about like what are you gonna carry in a cooler and packaged food.
Marlboro Lights.
That too, correct.
Just to be clear, Chris, I think some of us want sidewalks, when you were talking about the Saldo waiver.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Get ahead of that. All right, well, falls in your court, I guess, but you got some input from us. I would, I agree with Alex. I would get your traffic studies before going before the zoning hearing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We appreciate the input. Thank you very much for all your comments. We'll definitely revisit and see if we can make any adjustments to some of the circulation, parking spaces, things along those lines. We'll talk about a traffic study. I'm not sure how much we want to invest at this stage without knowing if it's going to move forward or not. So we're trying to keep it cost sensitive at this time as from a design and engineering standpoint, but we can look at options for a traffic study and or at least looking at what widening would look like. And maybe if we can reduce the amount of ultimate right of way, request a variance or something, if we're only going to add one lane and you need 10 feet, not 50 feet, that can make a big difference on the property. So yeah, I think those are different things that we can definitely look at.
As far as traffic, I think the turning movements is a big question mark. You know, that's, if you're going to do anything with traffic, I think you need to look at that turning movement issues. Even if you don't do the full study is what I'm trying to get to.
Sure. And you're talking about specifically for the driveways, turning in and out of each driveway?
And internal circulation.
Internal too. Okay.
And the E8 and E9 determination, right? That's pretty.
Right. We talked about that. You could
Yeah.
get that from the zoning office.
Right. Yep. We'll get that from Greg.
Told you
but-
the answer, but you could.
Yeah.
It's a letter.
Right. Okay.
Are you good?
Yep.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Just a closing comment on the last comment. I think twice about the sidewalk issue. I've had personal experience with walking down 309 from near County Line Road down to Colmar. And I think whatever township that is, must have a sidewalk ordinance as well. And it's each property came along and built sidewalks. They don't connect, like they're offset from each other and you're walking in the road half the time anyway. So it may be a good idea, but in terms of execution, it doesn't always work out the way you think it ultimately
Yeah.
should. So if we're going to start, pardon the pun, heading down that road, probably should consider some sort of sidewalk ordinance to make sure that there's future consistency amongst the buildings so you don't have this staggered mess of a jigsaw puzzle walking along different sidewalks and different properties.
Conversely, though, I think the corner is a good place to start if you're going to start somewhere.
I take your point.
Like go to the horse and walk down, get their cigarettes at the store. Go back to the horse.
I'm driving. I gotta fuel up.
Just gotta watch out for old people turning it on.
Anything else on that project now that they left? All right, old business. I have no old business. Anyone?
I have none.
I have none.
All right, new business. I have none.
Done.
All right. Public comment. Anybody have anything to say tonight? Come on up.
This is relevant because it doesn't have to do.
Microphone. Come on up to the microphone. I'm sorry. Name and address, please.
My name is Scott Regal. My address is 4302 Barnt Road. But this has more to do with the data center, so I didn't know if this was the platform for it.
Not really, but what do you got to say?
So
I'm probably not going to give you any
I'm
answer.
trying to catch up with what's going on. I was at the last meeting. Just so you know my background, I was an engineer at UPS for 20 plus years. I helped deploy a number of systems. Bottom line is, I can crunch data. I can see what's coming at us. I think we're going to be challenged as a township if we do get a data center in here because of the backing that they have. If we allow them in here without having the right corners around the box, we could be in an uphill battle. So I did review a lot of the discussions that you guys had. You had some great points and brought up some super valid things about closed loop systems and about water usage. And I think there was some comments, I don't know who or which, but there was a specific comment about the closed loop system should make it into the current ordinance, which it has not. And so that's really where my concern is. Now, again, I don't understand your role very well. It's more for like systems or the backbone of the township, I guess, is making sure we follow the, for the data system, make sure we have the right water system or electrical system and that's in place.
So
Correct.
let me explain what happened. We reviewed the ordinance for data centers.
Yeah.
Proposed ordinance.
What's that?
The proposed ordinance.
Yes, I apologize. It's still in the works. That's correct.
Yeah. So
No, it was approved.
There is a standing, but we're making amendments to it. And I actually asked if I could be on the team to help with those, but yes. So it's in progress, I guess. It's
Yeah,
approved,
so
but moving.
they approved the ordinance knowing that there's going to be amendments coming.
Amendments,
They wanted to get
yes.
the ordinance on record as fast as possible.
Yes,
So we made recommendations
yes.
to that ordinance, to the proposed ordinance, which they did
Might not
not
have-
use because they wanted to get the proposed ordinance on a book.
Oh, so they might still find their way into the ordinance.
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah.
There was some things that were really concerning about the water usage. Again, I crunched data. It's frightening what
Yeah.
they can use up to 1 million gallons a day. I saw one of the current things in the ordinance regarding the DRBC and basically that we would have to have any water withdrawals over 100,000 gallons. This is if they're pulling groundwater. They would have to be reviewed. I didn't see anything in there about the fact that we're in SEPA, which is Southeastern PA groundwater protected area. The threshold for SEPA is 10K. West Rock Hill is actually considered to be in a stressed sub-basin framework, which makes it even more stringent. So that certainly needs to find its way into some of the framework for the ordinance. But the closed loop, if it finds its way here, is absolutely the best way to control water usage. And then you're concerned about the byproducts and what they do when a number of
Like
things.
the
Yeah.
products that are put into the closed loop cooling into the water. Where does
Yes.
that go?
It's the lesser of two evils, I guess, because there's instances where the Delaware River Basin Commission actually approved water removal projects exceeding 100,000 gallons and created problems, noticeable declines in nearby well water levels and stream flows. So nothing's perfect, bottom line. And we certainly want to get the least invasive system.
Did you submit any of this to the
Absolutely.
township? Okay.
18 of my,
I
So-
think I probably
Yeah.
read, I don't know all
Yeah,
the
there's
names of the
quite a
people that
few.
submitted. They-
I mean, I
You've seen
focused on the closed loop and I do know there's an evil built into that, but it's a lot less than using 1 million gallons of water a day and the 200,000 to 300,000 gallons of wastewater that creates.
Right.
So there was some questions also about electrical transmission. And again, there was some discussion regarding electrical transmission. We are part of PJM, the wholesale, however you speak to PJM, but their demand is actually based off of the county and the service area. And we're part of what's called Quakertown service area. So we draw about 120 megawatts. So a 10 to 30 megawatt system would actually draw 8% to 25% And it's kind of scary because one of the ways that data centers make money is by providing power. So they actually get what's called an industrial rate. They pull the power in and then they resell it back. So they actually inflate, they get it at a discount. They inflate the demand, which drives the prices up, and then they can sell it back to the customers. So again, just some food for thought. The infrastructure can hold because there's an upgrade, as you know, on Jesmont, where they're replacing 8 miles of line, and I know they're upgrading the substation there. So I don't think it's not a problem with the infrastructure, but it's definitely a problem where there's 3 instances where data centers went into PJM locations, and the average impact was 15 to 16% increase in electrical rates for those. There's a lot more staggering statistics than that. So I just really want to make sure that some of this finds its way into the amendments with the ordinance. I'm learning as I go.
Right.
All the best laid plans still don't cover all the bases, but I think we'd really be in a challenge if they were to get here and established, because they have so much financial clout behind them, which is
So all the
concerning.
comments that we've received since the ordinance was adopted, the original proposed ordinance was adopted, all the input that we've received, I'm assuming mostly via email to Greg, is dispersed to us, and it's dispersed to our solicitor, who is probably taking all this input and drafting the amendments to
Is
the
that
ordinance.
Dave? Is that
Dave, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then just for my benefit, because there was a lot of questions about applications, and I saw some of the applications, and the first gentleman who spoke said, you know, that this is not a formal zoning hearing board application. So everything prior to that is considered informal, correct? Even though it's an application?
You mean the presentation that the,
So I know you had said at one point, one of the applications we received was a closed loop system. And I was like, yeah, that's good. But so you are receiving applications, but they're not considered
We
to be
had-
formal?
no,
That's
it's not a formal
there's a lot of
application.
misinformation out there.
Well, I want to try to
Yeah.
educate, because the bottom line is I was thinking the same thing too. I saw drawings and I'm like, oh, that's got to be an
Yeah,
application.
so that
But
was informal. There's
yeah,
no
that gentleman
formal
said, hey, this
application
isn't
in, so-
this isn't a formal submission to the zoning. Okay, so even though they've done a lot of work, it doesn't mean that it's a formal application.
Absolutely.
Neither of these 2 applicants tonight were sketch plans, which are considered
Yeah.
informal applications.
Ton of work, yes, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's just-
they're not on the books yet.
Yeah, that's just a misunderstanding, including myself when I was sitting there, because I
Right.
was like, wait a second.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, so I definitely want to help, and I'm just scared I love West Rock Hill.
Did you say someone asked you to help to be on a committee to?
Greg said that there was actually going to be a citizens committee, and that I would have to submit some kind of application. I'd be more than happy to.
I would suggest you do that.
Yeah.
Get involved in any way you
Yeah,
possibly can.
no.
Well, on the supervisors, I believe on the supervisor's agenda for this coming month is the discussion about Rev 1, or the next rev of the ordinance.
Okay.
And a discussion about forming a citizen group to help work on Rev 2.
Yeah, it's on the,
Yeah, I would
on the
suggest getting
website.
involved.
Yeah, I
we-
helped deploy Smart Scan at UPS. I wrote a system that measured the entire network. I mean, I
Perfect.
can crunch if I need to crunch, but I got to remember to bring a bottle of water next second. These meetings are
If
long.
I could say one other thing.
Please do.
And it probably needs to be said at every meeting going forward on this matter. Because it is complicated system when you come to townships and what the whole process is for approval of any kind of land development plan. But the data center and every other zoning ordinance, like you heard us talk about zoning for the convenience store and zoning for the retirement community. Zoning only goes so far. It's a lot of dimensional requirements and specifics about the use itself. But they still have to meet all the other ordinances of the township. Whether it's a data center or not, we have a groundwater study ordinance. Anybody that's drawing a significant amount of water out of the ground, whether it's for a residential development or a warehouse or anything else, has to do a groundwater study. We already have those in place.
Yeah.
We have stormwater management things in place. So there's a whole lot of things that don't have to be in the zoning ordinance for data center because we have it in
Oh,
other ordinances.
understood.
So the attorneys will, they'll sift through that. But there's a lot of talk about this groundwater studies, and we already, you know, it may not be perfect, but we do have a whole nother ordinance that talks, it's only about groundwater studies.
Is that
So they get-
available online?
It's in, yeah, it's online.
All right,
The
I'll
whole
see if I
code
can
of
find-
ordinances
okay.
is online.
But that's good to know because I'll try to
Yeah,
educate
it doesn't
myself
come up a
there.
lot in this township because our whole industrial area is in a public water zone.
Right.
So it doesn't come up a lot. But say when we had the quarry, when quarries become an issue, our groundwater ordinance kicks in and they have to do groundwater studies of what their impact is. It'd be the
Understood.
same thing for a data center. So there's a lot of other pieces to the puzzle that we have in place. Maybe they could be, you know, beefed up or modified, but it's not just this one data center ordinance doesn't have to have everything in it, but it has to have certain things in it and
Understood.
be specific to meet the current needs.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we currently don't know and we're finding out because they are saying that there's other instances of respiratory problems, a number of things, especially with the evaporation site, the sites that use evaporation. But it's good to know that there's other things covering. I'll certainly try to go through that information. But I really want to try and help. So we put the strongest ordinance together that we can as a township. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your concern.
Your 2.5 minutes are up. Anyone else? All right, seeing no more, I look for a motion to adjourn.
Said motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.
I knew we talk about data.
I know some are not going to be here, but I expect to have a meeting next month. We finally got the Guns subdivision plan.
What's that again?
The Guns subdivision plan out on Shoecraft Road. We've been messing around that for forever.
Yeah.
They just knocked off a lot out there?
Yeah, one of the daughters wants a lot. I'm sorry, I didn't see anything terrible. I did have,
Anything else for next?
well, that I assume will be on, you know, Tim Snyder's Green Top Road plan.
Right.
Bouncing around, he may show up.